Well, it's official. I am now a mama bear. Not a bear, but I'm a mama. I'm a mum. Yay! This is something I've dreamt of since I was a little girl. I've always wanted to be a mum. I've always felt that was a rite of passage for me, and I've done it. Beautiful Jacob Oliver, my beautiful son, was born on the 21st of September. It was a bit of a shock. He wasn't due until the 11th of October, and he was born by emergency C-section. Now, it wasn't the birth experience that we had planned or hoped for, but at the end of the day, he was a happy and healthy little boy. The day after he was born, he had a full checkout and a checkup. He was looked over and he was perfect. Apart from the fact that he did have a full anterior, I believe it's called, a full anterior tongue tie. So his tongue was stuck flat to the bottom of his mouth, which was making feeding very difficult. I would encourage everybody to make sure their baby doesn't have a tongue tie before you leave the hospital, because the sooner you can get it sorted, the better it's going to be, especially if you are planning to breastfeed. So we decided to get that sorted out that very day, and the doctor came and snipped his tongue tie, which was very upsetting for me. But as soon as it was done, they popped him on the breast and he went from feeding for 5 minutes to feeding for a full 30 minutes. So it made an instant improvement to his feeding and meant that our breastfeeding journey was a little bit smoother than what it would have been had his tongue tie not been fixed. But then we were discharged, which, looking back, I realised we probably were discharged a little bit early, but I was insistent that I wanted to go home. We'd only spent one night in the hospital after Jacob's birth, but I'd been in hospital for 5 nights altogether and I wanted to come home desperately. So Nick came and picked us up and we arrived home. When the sun rose on the first morning at home, I went downstairs and I made myself a cup of tea. I looked out into the garden, it was a beautiful sunny day, and I burst into tears. Possibly baby blues, tiredness, overwhelmed, but I remember feeling like I'd been hit by a car. So physically I was in pain, I was aching, I just felt horrendous. And that's enough to bring your whole mood down. Obviously, I hadn't really slept much at the end of my pregnancy or while I was in the hospital or that night, because I'd just been obsessed with keeping Jacob alive. But then it was this realisation that everything has changed. Everything has changed and that's it. You're now a mum forever, which is a wonderful thing. But it's also incredibly overwhelming when you're suddenly faced with the idea that you are now solely responsible for the survival and the well-being of another human. But I just had to get on with it. I had to try to take care of myself, which I had the help of Nick, who did a wonderful job, not least for having to inject me for 10 days in a row. I had to have these blood thinning injections and I could not have injected myself, which is what the nurses suggested I had to do. So Nick was brave and became my nurse in that respect, injecting me every day. I don't have a fear of needles anymore, but I used to do, and I've dealt with it, but I just can't inject myself. That's just a step too far. And also to help the transition into motherhood, we had lots of visitors, lots of guests, family came to stay and help us out, which was wonderful. It was really great for the grandparents to meet little baby Jacob. 5 days postpartum, is that what it's called? Postpartum. 5 days postpartum. I have my mummy here and my dad, who's just on the virtual reality. And we also had an insane amount of flowers. I've never had so many flowers in the house ever. We were running out of vases and places to display the flowers. It was a shame, really. I wish I could have spread out the delivery of the flowers so I could have enjoyed flowers for a lot longer. But we had a couple of weeks of just feeling like a garden centre. It was just absolutely glorious. Jacob is everything I could have dreamed of. Perfect little hands, his gorgeous little feet, his chubby little cheeks, little button nose. Oh, he's just absolutely beautiful. Knowing that this time passes so quickly, I wanted to make sure that we captured as much of it as possible, but I wasn't very good at getting the camera out. So it was more about just taking loads of pictures on my phone. There are literally thousands of baby photos now on my phone and on Nick's phone. But we also wanted to get some memorabilia. So we made a clay picture where you press the baby's hands and foot into the clay. It was harder than I had anticipated. Even though newborns are generally quite floppy and still, trying to press their foot and just their foot and then their hand and just their hand flat into clay that's going to set, so you have to do it pretty quickly, is really difficult. We had about 3 attempts before we got our finished product. The ink one is definitely better. This is the outcome of Jacob's ink print. Although I have to admit that also took a few attempts, because just trying to get their hand flat, newborns just want to have their hands all curled up the whole time. But yeah, we're really happy with that one. Now, despite the overwhelming impact of having a newborn and the fact that I was still recovering from major surgery, I was absolutely desperate to leave the house, just to get out and get some fresh air, to enjoy the sunshine, because we had beautiful weather for weeks after Jacob was born, and just, yeah, I was getting cabin fever. I needed to get out. So when we had the opportunity, which was to go and register Jacob, then I took it with both hands. What's happening today?
We're taking Jacob to get registered.
Just registered our baby boy, so he is official, and Nick and I are both officially responsible parents. It was also a great opportunity for us to try out our new pram, which is the Phil and Ted's sports buggy. And because Jacob's obviously a teeny tiny little baby, we would use the carry cot for him rather than the seat. This was particularly good for me because the handling of it is super light. It's a sports buggy. It's made for going off-road and for running with and things like that. So the handling is really easy, which means no strain or stress on my cesarean scar and abdominal area. If you want to know more about the sports buggy, then I will leave a link in the description box below. One thing Nick and I were absolutely adamant that we wanted to do was the newborn photography. We'd seen so many amazing pictures of tiny little cute babies all scrunched up in these beautiful little backdrops that we wanted to make sure that we had those types of memories for Jacob as well. So we had him booked in with Bright Apple Photography, and we met the lovely Danielle, who was absolutely amazing. Let's have a look how he got on.
'Cause you glue all the pieces back together. Yeah, you take all my wrongs and make them better. Yeah, you're making me wanna try forever. And I feel so free, oh my sweet baby. I was never the one to give up the ghost. No, I was so stuck. I kept on playing my part, wanted to give up cause nothing was changing. But with you it's so clear, and now that you're here I see colors in every spectrum. Guess I finally learned my lesson. Cause you glue all the pieces back together. Yeah, you take all my wrongs and make them better. Yeah, you're making me wanna try forever. And I feel so free, oh my sweet baby. And I think to myself, and I'm thinking out loud, we won't need nothing else for the rest of our time. And I know it so well, I will always be by your side.
So Jacob was wonderful, and he also decided to christen Mummy in every way possible, vomiting on me in what can only be described as torrents of vomit. Luckily I had a change of clothes. He also pooed directly into my hands and weed on my face. But that's how it goes, and he's actually been fantastic. Danielle was really, really great with him. I'm amazed at how she managed to keep him asleep and manoeuvre him very gently into all the different positions. I'm sure you'll agree the photos are amazing, and if you're interested in finding out more about what Danielle has to offer, then all the links will be in the description box below. Have a bath because I'm covered in baby vomit. Woohoo! We survived our first few weeks with a newborn, and gosh, what a rollercoaster ride it has been. Now, lots of you have said you've enjoyed the vlogging journey through my pregnancy and have asked that I keep it up, and so that is the intention. It's a little bit harder to film with a tiny baby, but the intention is to carry on because also it's great for us to make these memories. So if you're not already subscribed, please do smash that subscribe button and the bell notification button so you don't miss out on any future uploads. If you like this video, please give it a thumb, and I will see you guys next time. Cheerio!
Would you follow me to wonders? Take my hand and walk beside